Hello, beautiful book lovers. We are back with another Sunday summer series, Bookish Conversations, interview by Beauty and a Book Brand. I am Nisha, your host for today's conversation, and I will be speaking with the author of Once Upon a Time in Dollywood, Ashley Jordan. Ashley Jordan is a millennial from Atlanta by way of Brooklyn. She attended Spelman College, obtaining a degree in psychology and a lifelong love and appreciation for women's stories. While she currently works in public health, she has embraced writing as a hobby since penning her first short story in second grade. When Ashley isn't at the day job or writing, she is either at a Beyonce concert, rewatching Mad Men, or arguing about basketball with anyone who will listen. In 2023, she became a Reese's Book Club Lit Up Fellow. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi, Nisha. Thank you so much for having me.
Can you share the moment that you realized you wanted to become an author?
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say it was quite a moment. It was a series of moments because I started as a fan fiction writer. And so a lot of people, very kind women, were like, hey, you should really try to get published. And I was like, that's nice, but I'm not going to do that. And then, slowly more people started saying it. I met with a writer from BuzzFeed who had been reading my work, and she was very kind and said, no, really, you should try to get published. And so I listened to her a little bit more. And so when the pandemic came around, it seemed like the perfect time to, try and actually begin this journey. So that was the first time in 2020, like very early 2020, where I was like, I think this is going to be my goal now.
That's awesome. Who are your biggest literary influences growing up, and how have they shaped your work?
Of course, like Toni Morrison and Alice Walker and Zora Neale Hurston and all the greats, and more recently Tayari Jones. And I think the main way they have influenced my work is they've just been really intentional about putting Black women at the forefront. And I think Toni was probably the first time, well, not the first time, but one of the main ways that I realized that we could be the center of our stories and how important they are. And so that has always been a huge inspiration to me and exactly what I want to do. So I always like have them in the back of my mind when I'm writing.
What is your writing routine like? Like, do you have any rituals or any type of like schedule that helps you to get into your creative zone?
I wish I did. It's not, I don't know if it's a routine. It's just like vibes a lot of times. Like when
Okay,
I'm
okay,
feeling it, I'll
yeah.
sit down and write. And sometimes, if I'm on deadline, I definitely will make myself sit down. And usually I'll go to like my favorite coffee shop because I think I focus a little bit better when I'm in public because people are not watching, but they're like, why is she sitting here just scrolling her phone? I won't do that. So yeah, I write in public. I use the Pomodoro method, which is 25 minutes of work and then 5 minutes where I can scroll through my phone or whatever and then go back and keep that cycle going. I think that's the main routine that I sort of have.
Okay, I like that. I like that you're intentional about, like
Yeah.
how you're gonna structure
Yeah,
your
otherwise
writing journey.
I will start scrolling and I won't stop. So
Listen, guilty. Can you describe the journey of your first published book and what were some of the challenges and triumphs of that you encountered?
Oh my gosh. So this is my only book, luckily. So this like I said, it started in 2020. I wrote like it started actually as a fan fiction story. It was very long. It was 200 over 200,000 words. And so I had to rewrite it and figure out how to make it a cohesive 100,000 word story that made sense. And once I did that, I started querying in 2020. And that was around the time of what happened with George Floyd. And so publishing was having its own reckoning with racism and do Black voices actually matter? So my first time out querying was pretty good, I guess. I got an offer. I just didn't feel like it was the right offer for me. So I turned it down, but I also got a lot of good feedback. And so I went to revising, queried again in 2021. It did not go quite as well. I guess Black voices didn't matter as much by then. So, it didn't go as well and I didn't get anywhere with it. So I put it on the back burner. Lit Up with Reese's Book Club came along right around that time and I applied and didn't get in the first year. And so I was kind of frustrated and publishing comes with a whole lot of rejection. So, and that's
Yeah.
something I don't deal with well. So I never queried like more than 10 or 15 agents at a time because once a few said no, I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm pulling it back. I'll revise it or something. And so I had put it on the back burner pretty much and was pretty much ready to give up on it when 2022 came along and lit up said, "Hey, we saw you applied last year. If you want to apply again, feel free." And since I had revised the manuscript again, I did apply. And I was like, I'm not going to get in, but here, take it. And then I got in. So I think that was the
Yeah.
beginning of the like things breaking open for me, seriously. And so, especially because I think they said like 800 people had applied that year. So to be in that top five that got in was really a huge confidence boost, whether it went anywhere or not. I was just really happy to have that accolade on my resume. And then, yeah, I queried again in 2023. It went much better. And so I got my agent, and I had 6 agent offers, and all of them were really amazing. But when I met with my agent, she had a lot of notes. A lot of the other agents were like, "Oh, it's great, and we think it's ready to go on submission like right now." And I'm just like, "Are you sure? I don't think that's true." So when the last agent I met with, she contacted me on the last day of my deadline and said, "Hey, I know you might have chosen your agent, but if you haven't, I will read this in a day." And she did. She read it in 12 hours. She emailed me at 1 o'clock in the morning saying, "Can we please meet?" And she had so many notes that really resonated with me, which I thought was, she was a dream agent anyway, but that really was the thing that, crystallized it all for me and said, "This is my agent." And so, yeah, we went out on sub and we sold in a couple of weeks at auction. Thank God, because sub is terrible. Like it is so like nerve-wracking, and I'm checking my email literally every 2 minutes. So I'm really glad that that went fast. And we sold to my dream imprint, which was Berkeley. I had read so many Berkeley books, but the first one was actually Jasmine Guillory's The Wedding Date. And that was one of those things that made me want to be an author. And so to have gotten at Berkeley with my dream editor, it just like it was a long journey, but I really took my time with it. I was not afraid to say, if this doesn't work out the way I want it to, then I'm okay with it not working. And it did. And so, yeah, that was 2023 we sold. And so, yeah, the book just came out a month ago, in August. And so I was somehow a Reese's Book Club pick as well. And because of the Lit Up Fellowship, I had been put on their radar. And so, yeah, when they picked me for that, I was just like, I can't believe that all of my dreams are coming true. But
Yes.
yeah, it was a long journey, but it got me exactly where I hoped I would be.
Awesome. Congratulations. And faith, right? Like just keep going and persevering. Like awesome. I'm
Believing in
so
yourself
happy for
is so key, I
yes.
think. Yeah.
Yep. How do you handle a writer's block, and what advice would you give to aspiring authors facing that challenge?
Oh my God. I'm so bad at this because I feel like I get it a lot and I let it kind of consume me. But I think the best way, and I had to learn this the hard way, but really reading is the best way to get out of it. Like reading other people's work or even just consuming any other kind of art. Like go watch a movie, go listen to some music, whatever it is, just intake other types of media. And I think that that really like just ignites something in your own brain. So read, read, read.
That's something that I find common. Like we've been doing these interviews since March, and a lot of authors say like, yes, you need to read. Like it's good to even like people watch or to
Yes,
like
live
watch
life.
TV
Yeah.
shows and like just observe, and
Mhm.
you'll see a lot. And I agree. Like growing up in New York City, Brooklyn to be specific, like I
Yes.
felt like every time I took the train, there was something going on.
Oh my God,
Like
yeah.
like, oh, that would be a great story because
Hmm.
I majored in English writing in college. And so every day, like for my fiction writing class, we had to like come up with a story. And I'm like, oh, I have stories. Just take the train and yes, there goes
Yes,
one.
observe, absolutely.
Yeah. How do you approach character development and what do you consider essential in creating compelling characters?
Hmm. I think I lead, this may sound weird to say. I think I lead with empathy because I really want to understand like character motivations, like what shapes this person, what do they want out of their lives, what are they afraid of, things like that. And so I think once I know those things, and I really want them to be like as completely messy and complicated as they need to be in order to feel like a real lived-in character. And I really feel like, good characters don't have to, in fact, they shouldn't be perfect. They should be flawed and realistic, and they should feel honest. So I really want readers to see themselves in characters, and that's why I think it's important that they have flaws. So that's the first thing. That's the main thing I think about when I'm trying to construct a character and all their desires and hopes and all that stuff, I think is what are their flaws as well. And
Yeah.
that's what helps them to come alive.
What themes do you find yourself repeating in your works? Like, and why, sorry, why do they resonate with you? So which themes?
Mhm. Um, I think probably being a woman in her 30s, like I think themes
Mhm.
of motherhood come up a lot in my work. I mean, I only have one book so far, but in the things that I like to write about, what it means to be a mother or to want to be a mother or maybe not want to be, and even like what happens when fate maybe doesn't make that journey easy on you. I think a lot of us can relate to that, and so that really resonates with me. And in that same vein, I would say, like being a child. So like the
Yes.
effects that our parents have on us and how we deal with the things that they've like passed down to us, whether it's trauma or how we cope with things or even how to be a good parent. I think that those are all universal themes. And so I hope to explore it in my next book, but definitely those are things that interest me about books in general. And so yeah, I hope that I can do that too.
In your opinion, what is the most rewarding aspect of being an author?
Ooh. Uh So what I'm learning is it's just like the connection. I think writing can feel very solitary, of course, but when a reader tells me that something like this book made them feel less alone or that made them feel seen, it really is a really good feeling. And even the community that I've made with other authors, I think that all of that just knowing that something I wrote by myself has opened me up to this whole new world of readers and other authors, I think is like kind of magical.
So I know you touched on this a little bit earlier, but how would you say the publishing landscape has changed since you started your writing journey, and how have you adapted to these changes?
It's interesting because my debut just came out a month ago, so I don't have like a good scope of like how the industry has changed a lot. But I think
Yeah.
even in this short period, I've seen how important it is to be able to adapt, like
Mhm.
especially with things like social media. Twitter has gone away, and we're all so segmented, and so being able to adapt and meet those shifts, like instead of feeling like it's pressure, just being willing to go with the flow. I'm not good at that really, so it's been a very big learning lesson, but I also think that, I'm learning Instagram literally in the last like 6 months or so has been really interesting. I don't think I can do TikTok. Like that's not my wheelhouse, just at least not yet. But I think just being adaptable and understanding that you might have to go to something completely different tomorrow is really important.
Yeah, I can totally relate. Like we started on Facebook, like as a Facebook group, grew our, membership and everything. And then everyone's like, oh no, come to Instagram. That's where I'm at right now. And we went to Instagram, like did all
Yeah.
the
And
things
what
of
is that
engagement.
algorithm now?
And
Like,
then now they're like, come to TikTok. So last year, like kicking and screaming, like we went to TikTok and I'm like, I told my assistant, this is getting like a little, like yes, you have to adapt, and there's a lot of relearning different things, and it's a lot.
yeah, it's like another job. I'm like, I didn't sign up
Yes.
for this.
Yep. So that was kind of the next question, like what role do you think social media plays in author's career today? Um, so
It's unfortunately a very big role. I have a very complicated relationship with it. Like Twitter was my spot. Like I felt very comfortable there. I loved the community and how funny people were and all that stuff, and that's just been ruined. So yeah, now it's like, all right, well, I have to figure out what I'm going to do to help promote this book. And it is a powerful tool for visibility. It's necessary. I think it's very important not to let it define your worth as a person, as an author. If it is a tool for connection, but it can't be everything because you're not like the algorithms, all of that is too much. It's too much. So,
yeah.
do what you enjoy and let the rest come to you, I think.
Yeah, I always tell. So we take usually like it's July, but this year it was August. But our like all of our employees, myself, like we all take off a month
Mm.
from social media, and just we do the post scheduling, and
Yeah,
that's it, and we're off. Just to
I
unplug. And I
love
think
that.
that that is important because sometimes you do get caught up in like, oh, like did I post today or did I,
Hmm.
comment or did you know, and I'm like, I can't
It can be
do that, you
consuming if
know?
you let it. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. How do you feel about book reviews and do they influence like your writing process or
I
projects?
it it is my biggest hope that I don't let it do so. I don't read like I don't seek out reviews. If someone tags me on in something, I really really appreciate it because I am not going to Goodreads. I
Yeah,
avoid
yeah.
it like the plague. When my book first went up on NetGalley, I did like peek at it a few times just to make sure people were reading, and the reviews were nice, and I said, all right, that's it. So I haven't checked it. I have not looked at Goodreads. Unfortunately, when you go to Amazon, it shows you the Goodreads rating, and I'm like, I didn't want this, but okay. But I think, reviews are helpful just to make sure you're not doing anything like problematic. Hopefully, my publisher will be like, hey, just so you know, people are saying this, but I don't want it to influence how my relationship with writing. So I really do try to avoid it. And I feel like those are reader spaces, and I just want to stay out of it unless I'm like invited in, say on Instagram, someone tags me. But yeah, those are for readers.
That's a good like way to do it, because I feel like it also protects your creativity in a little, and your uniqueness because I feel like everyone has a different style.
Hmm.
And so if we all just go with like the masses and, like,
Yeah, trying to conform to
then
what everyone's
it's,
saying.
yeah,
I don't think you can
exactly.
write that way. It's too much. It's already enough in our heads. The world is crazy. There's enough going on without having 500 voices saying you didn't do this right.
Yep, yep. So what do you see as the biggest challenge for authors today and how do you feel they can overcome it?
Oh, I feel like visibility is a big, there's so many books that come out like every single Tuesday. You were just like inundated with a bunch of new releases. My to be read list is like a mile long at this point, and honestly, I know publishing doesn't have or doesn't want to have the same level of resources for every book. And, so a lot of the promotion falls on authors themselves, which is extremely daunting, like, especially for debut authors. We have nobody, like, we don't know anybody. How are we going to promote a book? But I do think that community is huge in that. Like, not you have to have a village of people who are supporting you, but also like other authors, readers, the booksellers who I think really do want to enjoy and know about your stories. I think is really important, like for you to reach out to them. And I think that if we can band together a little bit more, I mean, publishers are needed. That's why I wanted to do traditional publishing is to help me with that load. But I also think that, maybe other authors, we can just like flood the algorithm and uplift whoever is coming out this Tuesday. I mean, we do that, but also maybe a little bit more targeted, a little bit more intentional about it instead of just like happy pub day, but we're all going to jump in and make sure that this book gets seen.
I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How, well, we spoke about this a little bit too, but how important do you feel it is for authors to maintain a connection with their readers? And how do you achieve that?
I think it's very important. I do think reviews are for readers, but I also think it's important to express your, gratitude if a reader tags you or anything like that. I just think that that connection has to feel sustainable. So you don't want to be doing you don't want to do too much. Like you don't want to be
Mhm.
performing and it's just like constantly like having to be on for everyone. So I think that, it can look like maybe like sharing behind the scenes moments from writing or whatever. Maybe you're at a conference or whatever, or posting other authors' books, like I said, or just making sure that you say thank you if someone does tag you in a kind review. I have a newsletter technically, but don't ask me last time I updated it. I do think that's a good way to keep in touch with readers, though, and I just think that I would say authenticity is what it goes further than maybe constantly being available to anyone.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. What upcoming projects are you excited about? Can you share or no?
Well, mainly I don't have one. I mean, I am working, at least this month, I'm working with my publisher to figure out like what we want book two to be. We have been
Okay.
kind of, I don't want to say bumping heads, but bumping heads about
Yeah.
what that'll be and who will be involved in that book. I would really like to see my current characters from this book again. So I'm hoping I can figure out a way to make that happen, but we'll see.
That would be awesome. If you could collaborate with any author, who would it be and why?
Okay, obvious answer, but Kennedy Ryan. I mean, she's
Mm,
amazing.
I
She's like
love
everything
Kennedy.
everybody does. She's everything I want to do, but like she does it better than me. And I just want to like study at her feet. And we call her the Beyonce of romance. And so I
Yes.
please let me collaborate with Beyonce. Maybe I can be like the SZA of romance. I'd like that. That would be a great collaboration.
Yep. I think that's a good pick. Needless to say, you don't have to say why, because I know, like, I love her books and I love, like, I've met her a few times at book signings and stuff and just amazing. So I agree
Yeah,
with
I
that
just think
collaboration.
like learning from her would be like just invaluable. And I love like I'm trying to think going back to her self-published stuff. Like she's gotten so much better, but she's always been like amazing. And so yeah, just to be in that orbit would be incredible.
We're going to speak it into existence.
That's manifest.
Kennedy, you listening? How do you measure success as an author, and has the definition changed over time?
Yeah, it has actually. I used to think that it was, well, I still do to an extent, but I used to like base it in sales and like visibility and making the New York Times list and all of that. But over the past month, as I've gone on tour and things like that, just knowing that the book has resonated so much with so many people. I mean, not there's been hundreds of people or anything, but the people who have showed up and like the Black women who have told me that they felt seen by this work is a success I didn't even imagine. Like I started in fan fiction, so I do have had that experience with feedback, but to have it be like original characters and people seeing themselves and really feeling seen by that journey of those characters has just like meant the world. And I did not know that that was going to be what felt like success to me, but it really is.
That's great.
Yeah.
What legacy do you hope to leave through your writing?
Oh, Lord, that's heavy. I hope people would remember me as someone who paid attention to like the reality of romance. It's not always about the rainbows and the heart flutters and all that, although it definitely is that too. But sometimes it's about like the tears and the angst and going to therapy. So I hope that my legacy is someone who really struck that balance well and gave real and grounded romance to Black women.
Mm. What advice would you give to young writers who are just beginning their journey?
Um, First of all, publishing is so slow. So please, please, please be patient. It's hard. Rejection, if you're anything like me, rejection is awful and it will make you feel cut open sometimes, and that's okay. Keep going is my biggest advice. And as you go on this journey, just remember that it's yours. Like, I know it's really easy to look at the next person, but keeping your eyes on your own paper and run your own race is really important. That's a mixed metaphor, I'm sorry. But it's still true. Like there's always going to be someone doing better than you, but focusing on them is like basically going to keep you from enjoying your own success. So,
Exactly. Yep. Is there an author quote or any quote that resonates with you and your beliefs about life or literacy?
yes, there is a quote from Toni Morrison. I actually have it on my website. It is, she says, I really think the range of emotions and perceptions I've had access to as a Black person and as a female person are greater than those of people who are neither. So it seems to me that my world did not shrink because I was a Black female writer. It just got bigger. And I've had that in mind since like college and I keep it with me. Like as a Black woman, my experiences in this world give me a unique perspective and a valid one that, I should be happy to embrace.
Yes, I love that. So this is, Beauty and a Book brand. So
Mhm.
we always ask if you could create a beauty product inspired by one of your books or your book, what would it be and how would it reflect the themes or characters in the story?
Um, so my story deals a lot with like healing and my main character's entire she's like at the beginning of the book, she walks out on her life and she sort of sets a boundary with her parents. And I feel like that's really an act of self-care. So I think
Yes.
that anything in the beauty space that has to do with taking care of yourself is definitely fitting. Like I think of, sacred and having your wash day be like this sacred thing, or even like Fenty Skin, the butter drops and like how happy I get when those get to my house. Like I think really indulging in skin in those moments and honestly, taking care of yourself, any beauty regimen is taking care of yourself, really. So something in that vein, a specific product, maybe, one of those like face washes that Rihanna has, I think are really, I feel so good at the end of the night when I get to do that. Like that's the last step before I go to bed. So that would be mine.
That's awesome. And I always tell people, because we've been sending out the box since 2019. And a lot of, people feel like when we talk about beauty or cosmetics is all like makeup. And I'm like, no, you have to, it's important to also take care of your skin, so skincare, meditation, like all of those things, those routines are important
Yeah,
for your self-care. They all go
absolutely.
together, they're all aligned.
And they're very
Um,
calming, like they're very centering. I think if you can get into
yes.
routine, yeah.
Yep. All right. And that was the last question. Thank you so, so much, Ashley, for joining
Of
us
course.
today.
Thank you for having
Um,
me.
so we are going to have our audience share a book related fun fact in the comments. And we will see Ashley at the Beauty and a Bookstore tour on Sunday, September 21st in
Yeah.
Brooklyn, New York.